Hey everybody, welcome back. We are getting ready to watch episode 2 of Night Stalker, and Buddy has decided to leave. At any rate, we are watching episode 2, and I apologize for not getting the last episode up. I didn't have it recorded, and so that's why it wasn't up. At any rate, I'm curious as to see how things will develop from here. We were at Oh, Purdy's decided to join us. We were at just under 120 days, I think. I think. And so they still don't know who he is yet. It looked like, if I followed everything correctly, they had him in custody, or not in custody, but they questioned him. Thought he was a bit weird, found a bunch of stuff in his apartment, but nothing they could arrest him on. And the witness didn't recognize him in the lineup. So that's where we're at with everything. I actually have my contacts in, so hopefully any writings that come up I'll be able to see no problem. Went and watched Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It today. And I didn't want to wear my glasses, so I put the contacts in. But pollen's really bad, so we'll see how long the contacts last. I think that's it. I think that's where we're at with things. This one is called Anyone Could Be Next. And that brings us to the other point. They have no pattern at all. He is killing some people. The killings are getting more and more violent. He's kidnapping and sexually assaulting children, male and female, on both the killings and the children. So let's see what it's got in store for us. And I've got a little bit of migraine, so hopefully it doesn't get worse. But we'll check it out. Huh. 77. Now, from what I understand, the Night Stalker didn't start his stuff until 84, I thought. Or 83. 83 or 84.
The Hillside Strangler was a huge story in Los Angeles.
Okay.
11 bodies, 11 women, all of them.
And I think the Hillside Strangler, for a while, they weren't sure if the Hillside Strangler and the Zodiac Killer might be the same person, I think. Or the crimes overlapped or something like that. I might be mixing up my killings.
You know, Colonel Mustard did it with a gun in the kitchen.
It's a fun game.
We had a serial killer that was responsible for child abductions as well.
That's not a fun game.
I woke up to a very loud noise, to which I responded.
Did he come back?
Annoyed.
Have we met Lorraine yet? Was she the one that was unable to identify him in the lineup? Or is she new?
It just left a perfect print.
It's going to be the same shoe.
How lucky we were to have lived. Very fortunate.
And I apologize for mistaking her for the other lady. Obviously a new case.
Full impressions or partial impressions. I was able to determine.
That's cool that the shoe company was willing to work with law enforcement.
There was only 6 black 11 and a halves.
Oh, wow.
And only one came to Los Angeles.
Wow.
But we were never able to track it any further than it had been shipped to LA.
But
that
it still
sucks.
Linked them to several of the cases, including some of the kitty cases.
That's true. So this is before the summer. Don't give me a mouse shot again. I've got a spot in my hallway that creaks, and I've been wanting to fix it. But after watching this kind of stuff, it makes you not want to fix it.
sexually assaulted and beaten to death with a hammer.
How
Her sister
miserable.
Florence Lang,
That was
It looks
found
like,
on
Florence Lang was barely alive.
sorry, I'm pointing. You can't see what I'm pointing at. It looks like ECG pads.
There was an alarm clock that was found on the
Oh, there's
floor,
the shoe print
and
on the
there
corner of the
appeared to be a
clock.
partial shoe print.
And that's the first time that we saw
Pinnacle.
pentagram. It was written in lipstick.
Something he practiced? Was he maybe copycatting Manson?
Did Manson leave pentagrams?
It gives me a reason to be.
This has got to be
It is a
real
motivation.
audio from an interview, which is eerie.
A young female off the street in Northeast Division of LAPD.
Is he alternating
The
between
victim
kills and
fights
sexually assaulting the kids?
suspect.
Went back to his motorcycle to get out a citation book.
He's going to kill the officer.
Draws a pentagram on the hood of the car, and he escapes.
Were they able to get
Northeast
fingerprints after
Division.
he drew the pentagram?
We
Or is it too smudged?
specifically say we'd like
But
to
you have to
print that
stop.
car or process. Don't worry about it. We'll do it.
And then they didn't do it.
Basically,
Is this where we left off?
Because the lady across the street from me just got raped. And I think it's related to what you're working on.
Oh, wow. So
I
he
told
wasn't
Gil what
hallucinating.
happened.
So Linda and Gil live near each other.
He literally stomped the side of her head and left a footprint on it. Give you a footprint.
Wow.
There was something afoot.
You start thinking, wait a minute, what's going on here?
They went on a
You know, and that's that fine line of you want to be transparent and let folks know what's happening so that they can protect themselves and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, the more information that gets out there, the more the killer knows how much they have and the more likely they are to change something or escape to somewhere else or something like that. So it gives more chances for the killer to get away. So, how do you protect the community while still holding on to the information that you need to catch the person? And this just also goes to show, which I think this is before DNA. I can't remember when DNA came about. I think that might have been the 90s. I want to say, or at least used a lot, was the 90s. But it just goes to show how much information they can have and still not be able to find the person. Doing a case correctly where you follow the evidence is difficult to do.
And it's here at the Sheriff's Homicide Bureau, open 24 hours a day, that every
Out those
call is
1,000
checked out.
calls,
people were calling in.
how
left
many
and
of
right.
them were
What did this man look like?
accurate?
I said, what shoe? She says the Avia.
You don't want the killer to know you know that.
Serial killers have one thing in common.
Generally, in a serial murder, what
Narcissism?
occurs is they might relocate, but they don't stop killing.
I'm glad the reporter
The pressure
was willing
on
to work with them
find it
to a certain
by the
extent.
public.
We had to go through everyday life.
She looks
mostly
similar
not
to my
having
Aunt Blanquita.
Go home and the wife says, working late? I said, yeah. And then get in bed. She says, you've been drinking, haven't you? Well, you know.
I could always smell that too. They finally going to process it?
We discovered that the car had been stored outside in the sun.
Going
By
to
the
cook
time
all the
anybody
oils
gets to-
off.
No value in that car as far as
That
prints
sucks.
go.
But
They found something
left
else.
inside the car was a little cheap plastic case.
It was a dentist up in Chinatown. What if we'd have known about this business card back then?
Could they have prevented?
The card was written under the name of Richard Mena. I was
Richard's
able to
correct, I
obtain-
believe.
The two-man surveillance.
We stuck him in there waiting for Richard to come back in for a dental appointment.
But I know that that doesn't happen. Or they might see him, but they don't arrest him or anything at that point. And I can't tell if my sound is working. I sound more muffled than usual. A little bit more information. Unfortunately, that's the way murder cases are, unless the person spells it out for them. The, like I said, with the journalist, Lauren, I think they said her name was, or Laurel, it's that fine line. It's just like what I say with our government. Yeah, we should know about certain things, but everything we know, our enemies know. And so it makes sense for our government not to tell us everything. But part of the responsibility of the press pool is to keep our government in check and to report to the public what's going on and that sort of thing. So it's that fine line, that balance of trying to protect but be transparent and all that kind of stuff. With crime, you want to make sure that the evidence that you collect, one, that there's a chain of custody, two, that the evidence supports the hypothesis. Because even though we don't want a profile per se, we still need to have an idea of the type of person that we're looking for. And as you collect more evidence, that hypothesis may change. It's just crazy how there's no pattern. He was in Gil's house, and who knows what scared him away unless it was him turning the lights on. They didn't really focus on that too much, and I don't know if that was Gil's choice or the show's choice or whatever. But that's scary to be in that situation. There was a murder 2 houses over from my house, 3 houses over from my house, and my boyfriend at the time was living with me. It was a year later. We had just gotten back from the beach, and that night that we had gotten back, if my sleep issues are weird, but if I'm asleep and it's with my medications, then I'm asleep. I'm out for the count. But he had woken up at one point. He didn't know what woke him up. But it turns out, you're falling off. It turns out the guy had escaped from jail almost a year later. It was the same night we had gotten back from the beach. And he had come back to the house where he had done the murder because he was going to kill the mother, not realizing that that family had moved. And then he was looking for a place to hide out, went to my neighbors directly across from me, and they said, no. Actually, I have that wrong. My neighbor's catty corner from me, he went to, and they said, no. And so then he ended up at my neighbor's right across from me, and the police went in lights out and caught him. And at the time, I was working in the community, and so I worked doing crisis in the community, and so I worked with law enforcement a lot. And one of my friends on the law enforcement team was telling me about it, and I said, "No, you didn't. We didn't hear anything." He goes, "Yeah, that's the whole purpose of going lights out, is to not make any noise so you don't scare them." But it was kind of a nerve-wracking feeling or situation. It it'll be interesting to see. We've got 2 more episodes, so it'll be interesting to see how they wrap things up and kind of go from there. We kind of know how he gets caught. If you paid attention to my 1984 reaction, so I know that the dentistry office is not where he gets caught, but hopefully it gives them some more big clues. And it's Richard Ramirez. Is Ramirez his last name, or it's not Mendoza? I don't think it's Mendoza. I think it's Ramirez is his last name. Richard is his first name. So that was accurate. I don't know. We shall see. Thank you for joining me on this one. I gotta show you Purdy. She's just kind of sprawled out. Yeah. You going back to sleep? Thank you all for joining me on this one. I will see you on the next one. Bye.